The sound of God. When we think about hearing the voice of God, most people think of literally hearing a voice in our ears or head, like the great prophets of the Bible, or perhaps a vision of some sort talking to us. But God can be heard in many different voices and sounds. All we need to do is to have an open mind, a mind without interpretation, without judgment, and a quiet mind. A mind where all of the internal chatter, our monkey mind, is at rest. How can we possibly hear God if we are thinking about the myriad of things that we think are important? As the great yogi philosopher, Indian freedom fighter, and poet Sri Aurobindo has said, the intellect is an absurdly overactive part of nature. It always thinks that nothing can be well done unless it puts its finger into the pie, and therefore it instinctively interferes with the inspiration, blocks half or more of it, and labors to substitute its own inferior and toilsome productions. How many of you can just sit and observe yourself without judgment, without interpreting what you are thinking or feeling? Quieting the mind will assist in leading us to focused attention, being in the now, open to hearing the many voices of God. So let go now of all the inner interpretations and preconceptions of what God should sound like, and listen now for the divine. I am here in the winds and the waves. When the first trees and flowers and grasses appeared, I was among them. And when man came, I at once became the most delicate, most subtle, and most powerful medium for the expression of man's emotions and the divine. I am music. When men were a little better than beasts, I influenced them for their good. In all ages, I have inspired men with hope, kindled their love, given a voice to their joys, cheered them on to valorous deeds, and soothed them in times of despair. I have played a great part in the drama of life, whose end and purpose is the complete perfection of man's nature. Through my influence, human nature has been uplifted, sweetened, and refined. With the aid of men, I have become a channel for the divine. I have a myriad of voices and tones. I am in the hearts of all and on their tongues in all lands, among all peoples. The ignorant and unlettered know me not less than the rich and the learned, for I speak to all in a language that all understand. I am the food of love. and comfort the lonely, harmonize the discordant, uplift, connect to the oneness of all. I am the voice of man, and through those that listen, the voice of God. I am music. Sufi master and musician Hazrat Inayat Khan says, music is the most wonderful way to spiritual realization. There is no quicker, no surer way of attaining spiritual perfection than through music. He goes on to say, music is all. Music takes in all. That is why music is even greater than heaven. Music is the divine's way of connecting to every one of us, anytime, any place. Sound is a carrier wave for emotions, intentions, and transformations, and the divine. When we listen to music, we have an opportunity to know ourselves better, to release old values, and to transform and transcend ourselves. But how do you know if you're hearing the voice of God in music? Remembering Sri Aurobindo's words on the intellect's meddlesome ways, we need to set aside our intellect. This is not an, I think I heard God. But there is another part of us that immediately lets us know when we are hearing a higher power. And that is our spiritual emotional body. Not the physical emotional body of anger, sadness, greed, jealousy. When you are with the divine, you may experience a flood of bliss or ecstasy, become teary, feel an expansion in your heart. You may feel that you have no edges, that you are egoless and a part of the divine, the one, the all. You will be left with feelings of great compassion and grace and be filled with radiance. These are the signs. These are the signs that you've received a touch, a union with the divine. Not too long ago, on my drive home to Walling from my office in Maryville, I became aware that the classical radio station that I had on was playing the second movement of the Rachmaninoff Second Symphony. It had been playing for a while, because when I finally became aware of music, it was about a third of the way into the movement. And as I began to pay attention to the music, my body started to tingle, my heart expanded, and I began to cry profusely, not out of any sorrow, but of such great joy that I had no words for it. I needed to pull over to the side of the road until the music finished. The sound of God in music moves us beyond our body and mind into that space where we can connect with the divine. It moves us past our earthbound emotions of sorrow, happiness, anger, grief, and shame. It moves us out of our intellect. It moves us into a sense of expansion and oneness. Well, how is it that so few pieces of music can put us in touch with God? Let me read a quote from Mozart. "My musical ideas flow best and most abundantly when I cannot sleep, after a good meal, traveling in a carriage or walking. Whence and how they come I know not, nor can I force them." I do not hear in my imagination the parts successively, but I hear them all at once. All this inventing is producing takes place in a pleasing, lively dream that I have my divine maker to thank for. But why my productions take from my hand that particular form and style that makes them Mozartish and different from the works of other composers is probably owing to the same cause which renders my nose so large or so aquiline, or in short, makes it Mozart's and different from those of other people. For I really do not study or aim at any originality. Composers who go beyond their thinking mind when they compose are termed musical adepts. They communicate with the divine, with God, with the source of all consciousness. Jonas Brahms describes his process thusly. To realize that we are one with the Creator as Beethoven did is a wonderful and awe-inspiring experience. Very few human beings ever come to that realization, and that is why there are so few great composers or creative geniuses. I always contemplate all this before commencing to compose. This is the first step. Then I feel vibrations which thrill my whole being. In this exalted state, I see clearly what is obscure in my ordinary moods. Then I feel capable of drawing inspiration from above, as Beethoven did. Those vibrations assume the form of distinct mental images. Straight away, the ideas flow in upon me directly from God, and not only do I see distinct themes in the mind's eye, but they are clothed in the right forms, harmonies, and orchestration. Measure by measure, the finished product is revealed to me when I am in those rare, inspired moods. I have to be in a semi-trance condition to get such results. A condition when the conscious mind is in temporary abeyance, and the subconscious is in control. For it is through the subconscious mind, which is a part of omnipotence, that the inspiration comes. Music of these adepts assists in lifting us into a higher state of consciousness and in aligning ourselves with the divine, because the divine is speaking through this music. Taking special care in choosing composers to listen to is like choosing a spiritual teacher. The best spiritual teachers in music are those who reflect our highest values and possibilities for physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual growth. There is a reason why we keep listening to the music of those old dead white guys, Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, and the boys. But having a quiet mind and choosing music written by an adept is still not enough. I remember the first time that I had an opportunity to hear my most favorite piece of music, the Barber's Adagio for strings, played live. It was being played under Zubin Mehta and the Israeli Symphony. And as I sat there listening to this gorgeous music, my whole body began to tingle. And I began to feel like I was going to lift right out of my body. A fabulous experience. I immediately ran out and bought the recording and had the exact same response every time I heard it. The second time I had the opportunity to hear this piece being performed live was with the Tokyo Symphony. I sat in my seat, and and was ready for that wonderful experience. The opening notes played and nothing happened. Throughout the entire piece, nothing happened to me. No tingles, no jumping out of my skin. I thought, oh dear, I've lost it. Maybe 6 months to a year later, I was taking a beautiful course with the great Sufi pianist Aladdin Mathieu, and he began talking about different performers. And at that time, he was comparing Horowitz and Rubinstein. And he said Horowitz is a wah-wah performer. He performs every note flawlessly. His performances are technically perfect. They are a wonder to listen to. I said, and then there's Rubinstein. He's a wah-wah musician. Yes, his performances are flawless. They are absolutely perfect. But as he sits there at the piano, his eyes are closed, a smile is on his face, and he is with whoever the composer is. Most performers attempt to project either the feeling or the form of a piece. The better performers project both. But the best performers are able to place themselves in the same space as the composer. And in that state of truth, beauty, goodness, perfection, richness, wholeness, transcendence, effortlessness, and immersion, they are able to translate the divine to the listener. So we can hear the sound of God in nature. We can hear the sound of God if we prepare ourselves by becoming quiet, focused, and receptive. We can hear God when we listen to music by an inspired composer. And we can hear the divine in the performances of those who are also in a quiet, focused, receptive, joy-filled state. And in closing, I invite all of you now to close your eyes and listen for another sound of God. With absolutely no judgments, picture your beautiful self just as God sees you in all of your radiance. Picture yourself standing in front of you, like looking into a mirror. If you're unable to see a clear image, just pretend that your image is there. Now, with all the compassion that you have, say out loud to this beautiful divine soul, I love you. I love you. And hear in your own voice the sound of God. I love you. Now picture all of your loved ones standing beside you in all of their radiance. And say out loud to them, I love you. I love you. And hear in your own voice the sound of God. great star of light coming from above you, pouring a waterfall of light over all of you. It is shining down and washing through, revealing the light within all of your hearts. Now imagine that light growing brighter and merging with the divine. And the light now encasing all of you. Now see our beautiful planet encased in the light. Include all creatures, great and small, plants and fish, birds, two-leggeds and four-leggeds, and all peoples. Be gracious to hold it all as you offer this blessing. May there be peace on earth. May the hearts of all people be open to themselves and others. May all people awaken to the light of their own true nature. May all creation be blessed and be a blessing to all. Now see yourself in the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and let yourself be loved. Let yourself be loved. And you can hear the Divine's voice saying to you, you are so precious. You are so loved. And so it is.